In the animal world, only the strong survive. This program contains scenes where some don't. Viewer discretion is advised. Please be aware that the following program contains scenes which may not be suitable for younger children. Some parental discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Shh.
I'm Grem. And I'm Ben. Welcome. Good evening. It's the 19th of December and you are joining us for our live show at 6 p.m. Although it's not quite 6 p.m, it's a little bit after 6 p.m. because you had the pleasure of watching our intro.
Yes, it was quite an enlightening intro, wasn't it? I enjoyed filming it.
What, you mean the one that we use every single time we go live?
Yes.
Yeah, that was. Very different, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Same old thing. Same old thing. It's like an old pencil, isn't it? Actually, you don't keep pencils. Once they're used, they're used. They get too small, don't they? You have to throw them away.
Well, this one stays sharpened.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that, guys. What do you think?
Sharpened and pointed.
Pointed.
Ready
sharpened.
for action.
Is it lead or graphite they make pencils out of?
Graphite. There used to be lead in pencil.
They banned it. Everything's getting banned.
Well, it should have been banned. It shouldn't have been used in the first place.
No, it's dangerous, isn't it? They still use lead in fuel though, don't they? Petrols.
No, there's no
Are
lead.
they not?
No.
Oh.
There hasn't been lead in fuel for years.
Oh, right.
Actually, when you passed your driving test.
What, in the early 2000s?
Before that. Way before that.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that. Really?
I think it's about 95 or 96.
What, when they banned lead?
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. Anyway, never thought we'd be talking to you on a live show and
It used to be
talking
called
about...
4-star fuel.
Yes, it did. That's
Fully
right.
leaded.
The Red Star, wasn't it?
It actually had the power.
Yes. Well, I never thought we'd start by opening our Ben and Grem show this evening on this Sunday evening, talking about lead. But stranger things have happened, Grem. Merry Christmas to you all.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
And yeah, feel free, please, have a word with us in the comment box below. Of course, we've got Robin in with us already. Hello, Robin. Hey to you too. Thank you for joining us. Graham, we have a few things we want to discuss this evening, don't we, on our live show. And of course, with it being live, I think we say this every time, but with it being live, Graham, it can go anywhere, can't it? We can go in any which way or other, because that's the benefit of a live show. And that's what makes it fun.
Because it's a bit like a wave effect.
Yeah, it's completely unscripted, and that's what makes it fun. However, we have actually done a recorded show this afternoon, didn't we, Graham? Which will be ready for you once edited.
Yes, hopefully that will be for Wednesday or Thursday.
Is that when you want it to go live?
Yeah, possibly. Obviously, guys, we need to discuss this, don't we?
Yeah, it could be Monday, Tuesday, it could even be Wednesday. But either way, we've got a live show. Yeah, it probably will be Tuesday or Wednesday, Graham, because we've got to edit it. So we've got to be realistic. We're a team, small nonetheless, but big enough to be successful.
We don't need lead
in anything we do.
Yes. No, we don't.
No, we don't. No. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well on this fine Sunday evening. It's a bit miserable outside, of course, spitting in the wind. Talking of wind, it's windy in Australia, Graham.
It's a bit windy in the studio this evening. Well, sorry about that, mate.
Oh, that's all right. Baked beans, was it?
No, it was fried bacon
Right. I wonder what that smell was. Do like a bit of bacon.
and egg.
If you go to Iceland's food warehouse, guys, now presumably wherever you're watching this, you'll have an Iceland's food warehouse. You can actually pick up, Graham, a bag, and it's a Christmassy festive thing at the moment, but you can actually pick up a bag of sprouts and chestnuts
Oh wow!
together, and they're fantastic. And what makes them even better, and if you haven't done this already, Graham, I'm going to recommend this to you. Now, I'm no chef, I'm no Jamie Oliver, most definitely, certainly not a Gordon Ramsay. But I will say, if you do want something a little bit scrumptious this year, yeah, buy yourself an air fryer. Do you have an air fryer, by the way?
Ah, the wife wants an air fryer for Christmas.
Right, okay.
She may well get it.
She may well get it.
The air
Full
fryer.
effect. Graham, air fryers. Don't know where we're going to go there. Air fryers. Right, so let me finish the story, but I'm glad that's amazing.
They're speedy.
They are speedy. They are well designed, and also if you get, Graham, your sprouts and chestnuts and then cook them in the air fryer, right, straight from frozen, they are spectacular.
Right, we must give that a try then.
Mm.
If we get an air fryer.
I recommend, right, if you're going to do your Swedes this year for Christmas, right, you don't do it in the oven, or who does a Swede in the oven? You don't boil your Swede, right? What you do, Graham, is you put your Swede in the microwave for 12 minutes. Treat it like your spud, because I tell you what, for 12 minutes they call it a singing Swede, and I'm telling you what, the quality is astronomically good. And
Swede and carrot.
Swede and carrot, yeah, you can do the same with carrot. And right, I will say this, right, not only are you doing it that way, you're not boiling away the goodness, and the same applies to your sprouts. Put them in your air fryer, cook them up, and the flavour is absolutely pristine. And they chew. They're not chewy. It's not like a dog chew or one of those.
They've got a bite.
Or a chew it, but it's got a bite to it. And
That's
I'll tell you
nice.
what, it's not raw and it's not undercooked either. It's fantastic. So I
The
recommend it.
flavour must be out.
Yeah.
Just
If you're a fan of a Swede or a spud, I don't even know if you can do spud. You can do spuds. You can do anything in an air fryer, actually. Let me just put that out there. I mean, check the label before buying or otherwise cooking, because you don't want a mishap.
it's making a boring sounded vegetable actually fashionable,
Mm.
isn't it?
Yeah. See, with kids, it started, didn't it, with shapes, didn't it? Vegetable shapes, food shapes. Now,
Letter shapes.
yeah, now we're going up in the world. Now we're talking about air frying your veg. It's a bit like steam frying, or steam cooking, sorry, not frying. You know, like when you get steamed.
You only need like a couple of teaspoons of oil or something.
You can.
Olive oil.
Yeah, what, for the air fryer?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you don't have to use oil. I don't think you have to use oil. I think it's probably recommended you did.
It's only a couple.
Just to give it a bit of crisp, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't wait to obviously try it out. Yeah,
Try it. Now,
try that.
I never thought for a second this live would ever have us talking about sprouts, spuds, Swedes,
But
or
that's
lead.
the whole point of Ben and Grem.
But it is, Graham, isn't it? And actually, I'm having a whale of a time already. If you're not, and judging by the viewers, I'd say
You are having a good time.
I was going to say the opposite. I'm glad you came in there first.
You are.
Yeah,
Have
we are.
faith.
Yeah, have faith in the unfortunate. Welcome this evening, guys, and please do come in on any conversation. Anything you want to discuss. We've said this before and we'll say it again. The Ben&Grem Show, Graham, isn't it? It's about anything that you cannot discuss in fear of war or persecution. We'll leave the war bit out, but maybe persecution. However, you won't get persecuted on this show, I think.
That sounds like a disclaimer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we don't mind what you say because this is public. We're all in this together, all right, on this stream. So please do take part. Graham and I will vouch for that. There is no wrongdoing on this show.
No, none at all. We
Uh,
we try and keep it factual to our best of our abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham, what do we know at the moment? Anyway, in the news, we won't say too much about the virus. Is that politically correct? Call it a virus.
No!
Should we say
Well,
virus?
yes, it is.
I'm fed up with the word, to be honest, guys. I don't know if you've noticed.
It is a virus.
It is a
Well,
virus.
we can mention the COVID term occasionally.
Okay.
If,
In case anybody forgets,
we will weave in and out of the subject
like
probably,
a dolphin in the wind.
because
or in the waves.
it's connected. It's part of our lives, and it's going to be for many years to come.
Yeah, yeah, true. I think that's where we're going, isn't it? I completely forgotten what I was going to say, Gwen.
1 hour later.
And I don't know what to follow with.
I know, it's just come back to me. The power of epiphanies.
Oh yes.
Grem, it was about that virus, and it was actually about plans that the UK and Europe are having in response to the current rise in figures of COVID Omicron cases. Now, we know at this moment in time the French, we'll start with the French, because what we know at the moment is the French are saying only French citizens can travel to France, and or otherwise those that are related, and anybody else for other reasons of travel is not permitted. Now, that does not include, from my understanding, freight movement, because freight movement is very essential, and therefore, from my understanding, is continuing on as normal.
And the same with Germany as well.
Germany as well, and I don't know what the current terms are of Germany though, Graham, I have to say, although I know that there are talks of UK and Germany having some restrictions, so we probably should know more about that.
It's probably very similar to France because borders.
Yeah, probably, but probably very similar. However, and I don't want to turn this somewhat controversial here, Graham, but we're talking about the French, aren't we? And we're talking about, and don't get me wrong, this is my own little disclaimer here. I love French people. I think they're fantastic. They've got
Pizzazz. Or pizzazz.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. They're very unique, and I will say actually that although I might have some criticism, that's not of the French, but only of the French government. Now let me just continue with that.
They've got they have a very cool accent.
They do, especially in the coffee shops. Have you been to a French coffee shop?
No, not yet.
I haven't either. I don't think so anyway. I've been to a French market years ago.
Yeah, same here with school. When I was in school.
Yeah. That was quite a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't too many years ago.
Many years ago. I feel for that. I feel for you too, because I know where you're coming from. No, what I was going to say. Right, so the French. Right, so they've stopped UK travellers travelling to France, unless of course you're a French citizen or otherwise related to somebody who's French. Probably a close relation, I would imagine, not distant relation. Anyhow, moving on from that, what we also understand is, although there is restrictions, Graham, I find it somewhat infuriating, because with those restrictions in mind, for the reasons of COVID Omicron, you can go out of the country, but not into the country. And without being too controversial, I mean, only in the last week we saw a day in particular where we had 500 personnel, shall we say, travel across the French waters into the English waters of the French and UK Channel, and of course enter the UK. What made it quite somewhat more frustrating was we heard that the UK Border Force Agency was out of hours and could not continue to work through the night, and left the recovery exercise to an organisation called the RNLI, which are a volunteer network paid by the volunteers and run by the volunteers themselves. Now, infuriating as I may sound, that is what is upsetting, is that we have an organisation, Graham, that is the UK Border Agency, who are being paid several thousands of pounds a year through our tax-paying government, and yet they can't work because they're out of hours, despite the fact that actually, regardless of whether they say that that was the reasons that they couldn't work, Graham, and left everything down to the volunteer agency of the RNLI, however, the Border Force Agency, as I understand, do actually work in the evenings. So I'm not sure where that stood in the grand scheme of acceptability as an excuse or reasoning. Having said that,
I suppose their numbers would be lesser in the evenings.
Maybe so, Graham.
But with the state of all the nations at the moment, all their border forces, you'd expect that not to be a case. They need as many staff on as possible.
Well, yeah, they do, and you would imagine with the government in particular, they would be employing furthermore staff for the purpose of the requirements that is needed when you're coping with such numbers that are coming through the border. Now, what I will say, Graham, is with the COVID situation and with the lockdowns and with the French requiring only French nationals to travel to France at this current moment in time, we ask ourselves, well, if that's what you want, then please stop those coming into the UK. Sounds like an easy bargaining chip, doesn't it? Now, we're talking 500 to understand the numbers in the recent week. we found 500 individuals came across the channel, and it was quite late at night as well that we heard that they were being rescued by the RNLI agency. And so I think, hang on a minute, guys. How is our government allowing this? We're being told we cannot, under restriction, and travel to France.
It's like they're turning a blind eye.
Certainly.
It's obvious that they are.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed this, Grem, but I have to say, being someone who lives in the local area, you couldn't get around over that day because we had the Operation Tap system in place because the ports were somewhat slower than they should be. And so,
yeah, a nightmare. Slight nightmare. I mean, I feel also really concerned with the individuals attempting to make the crossing. I've said this before so many times.
Yeah.
It's dangerous waters, and it's sad that when you hear of deaths.
Yes, and Graham, and what was even more upsetting to see actually was on the news I noticed there was mothers and babies, and the first time I'd seen this myself, but actually babies in arms, couldn't be any more than a few months old. Graham, I think Graham outside of the Ben and Grem show, Graham within. I will say, Graham, that actually what I think we do need to do, and I've been watching various different news outlets, and I've heard this suggested before, and I do absolutely believe we should be pushing this. We need an offshore post of which we can process or otherwise refuse migrants before they get into the water. We have to do this. But you know what alarms me, Graham, is that the UK government, I understand this now, had actually approached the French government saying we need to employ our own people on your shores to stop this, and they refused. And and then of course following that, we understand the French authorities are just waving them through. So there's got to be some understanding here, and there needs to be some one-to-one cohesion between the United Kingdom and the French.
It's got to be fairness, but there doesn't seem to be much fairness on the side of the European Union, which is very sad, because they are our closest neighbours.
But you know what, Graham? I mean, over the years, I've kind of softened the whole idea, you know, about migrants, in the sense of the fact that I do appreciate there are migrants around that actually do have a need to travel and move elsewhere. Now, I'm not saying that there is because there's not safe places within Europe, because I don't believe that for a second. But what I will say is, if we thought we had somewhere where they could be processed on the French side, and if eligible to be processed effectively and legally, could then enter the UK and process towards citizenship. Having said that, because they are doing it in such a way that they are, I think that's where most people are quite somewhat upset, because it doesn't just stop there, Graham, does it? We know that we get those people in, we house them, we feed them, we pay for them in various different ways,
which has to be done, and it is the right
under health and
way.
safety and human rights. Yes, of course.
Yes.
And that's why we're doing it, but that does not still make it right. So we have to start. I think the government has to start looking for a way that it can be done, where one, these individuals are not being put at risk of their lives.
Well, where's the blame? It's the blame game.
Well, this is the thing.
And you know, at the end of the day, they have left a safe country, and it might be hard for some people to accept.
France is a lovely country. Germany
is
a
a gorgeous country.
Europe is a lovely place, and so why wouldn't somebody want to live in Europe? But we're not going to go into that, are we?
It makes you wonder why.
It makes you wonder why. But we could be here all day, and we're not here for this live show in particular to discuss migrants, because
because the great British people, we are known as being very, very generous.
Yeah.
And we will help, and we will offer aid, and we will do all we can do.
Yes.
Always.
But we've got to also, I think, look at help and help yourself as well. There needs to be a balance.
There need to be well, it's not sadly, actually. It needs to be more of a case of a priority that our country is put first. It has to be. The whole of Great Britain needs to be put first, and Northern Ireland.
Well, I think we're all going through an international pandemic, regardless of what your beliefs are around COVID. And I'm not talking about that in particular, about beliefs, but what we'll say is everybody's going through a difficult time, and so we should all be thinking of our own people. And that's not being nationalist here, that's just being realistic. I think we all need to protect each other in the sense of the economies that we live in. You know, like, for example, German economy, the Germans need to protect themselves and get themselves organised. So, of course, do we. We can't whilst we've got this going on and we've got upsets with the markets and so on, because money is becoming difficult, people are losing work and so on and so forth, the last thing we want to be doing is thinking about having more people to look after. And that's, I think, for any country, not just the UK.
I think that's the reason why most of our markets are so entwined throughout the European Union and with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because they have to be quite close and similar. Otherwise, it's like throwing a spanner into a work of clogs.
Are they those things that lorry drivers wear?
No. It's a very old-fashioned term, actually.
Is it?
It's like throwing anyway, just throw a spanner into an operating machine.
And watching it fall apart. Yes. Well, that puts that subject into context. So what we understand is the Germans, Grem, are looking to also put restrictions in place. But it always seems like it's to restrict the UK, It's almost like as if everybody thinks that it's our problem. It's like we've created it. Let's not forget, it wasn't us that created COVID. And it wasn't very many, if any, countries in Europe that created it. I think we all know where it came from, and I'm not going to repeat myself. I don't think I need to. But I will say, we're all in this together. So
we need to work together
Yeah.
in this, no matter what country we all come from.
Absolute. Lee. So, Graham, what else have we got on the subject of our live show this evening?
I have forgotten.
So have I. Well, actually, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful show. We have a load of topics to discuss, and one of which is in Oldham, because it's understood that somebody has been arrested on caution. Caution? That's the wrong wording, isn't it? Someone has been arrested, suspect being involved in dangerous driving event. It's not an event, is it? Situation that has sadly taken one's life. They are down as being somebody who is considered reckless driving, and therefore are going to be prosecuted accordingly. I completely made a hash of that, but I think you got the general idea.
Young girl of 10 years of age.
Is it 10? Yeah, it was 10, wasn't it? Yeah, she sadly lost her life due to a car incident, being struck by a car, and the man involved, I understand, has been arrested.
Our thoughts and prayers and love goes out to the family and friends of the said victim.
I said something about Australia, Graham, about wind, didn't I?
Yes, you did mention that.
Yeah, now I'm just trying to remember why I said that. There is a reason for it. As I understand at this moment in time, there is a problem with Australia and wind, because...
Is it tornadoes? Not tornadoes. It might be.
I think they do have storms of some form, yeah, at the moment. There was a longer version of this story, but I've forgotten it myself. So if I do come back to it, Graham,
the Philippines are being hit at the moment by major storms as well. Yeah. So it's a tough time for that area of the world. As
long as we don't get any tsunamis, Graham, because we know how bad they can be. And
it'll be a ripple by the time it comes over to us.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that hits us from outer space.
Outer space. Yes. So on the subject of viruses, going back slightly, flip-flopping about, Graham. Don't fall out with anybody, because everybody has an opinion, and I think that's nobody's fault. I think the fact that there has been, regardless of what you believe in, there has been so much misinformation, good and bad, that has been brought to the general public, and it leads one to question and want to know more. So I don't think anybody should be falling out with anyone in particular individual over this subject. I just think we just got to do what we've got to do necessary. Graham, it's like walking into a shop. You know, you're expected to wear a mask, Graham. We do it because we save face. We want to shop, don't we?
Well, yes. And it does give you some form of protection. Not total protection, but it does give you some protection. So best take some protection.
Yeah.
Rather than none at all.
Some is better than none.
Exactly.
Wear a hat. Graham.
I've had my booster jab, by the way, everyone.
Well, actually, yes, you have. Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yes.
How did it go? I meant to ask you. It's the first time I've actually had this conversation with you myself. So how did it go?
No issues. Could have been a bit more delicate with sticking it in. But normally when I've had the last 2 injections that I've had done, I didn't even realise that it had finished. I was still waiting for them to stick the injection in. That was over in Folkestone. but my booster was in Dover, and
Where was it? The health centre?
yeah, the health centre, and it was
You weren't waiting long?
no, it's just like it's like they must follow the show or something. Because as soon as I walked in, I went and registered, and then I was sent straight through to go and get my jab. But there was loads of other people there.
Extraordinary. Well, I'm pleased that you've had it, and
Yep. Well, you've got yours booked soon, so.
who, me?
Nope.
Well, you have.
No.
You're not going for it now.
Well, I do you know what? It's funny because I was asked this question recently, and I said to the individual, "No, I won't be having my booster." But at that moment in time, I wasn't asked to have it. And actually, only in the last week, I've had a message come through on my mobile telephone requesting that I can have my booster. I am going to be so I'm not an anti-vaxxer. For those of you that want to know, I'm somebody who has been vaccinated twice. But without being untoward or controversial, I feel that I won't, in my own self or mind, be vaccinated after every variant that is released. Because, and I say this is because when for the years and years now, Grem, my grandparents, and not just my grandparents, but people of old and past time, have always been vaccinated, but through choice, because they wanted the flu jab, and I was respectful of it, and I never had it. And I think the main reason for that was because I was never entitled to it, because I wasn't somebody who was seen to be at risk, or otherwise I wasn't somebody to be seen as eligible. And what evidence has been said so far, of course, is that the vaccinations last 3 months or thereabouts. I've had my 2 previous vaccines for the original COVID Delta, and I think what I will do on request of those loved ones, friends and family otherwise, if wanting to have my time and presence, I would be more than happy to take a test, PCR test, just to sort of be sensible and to be protective of not just myself but them
Yes.
as well. So I still, in my mind, I'm still playing the game. It's not a game. Sorry, I say it that way. It's very untoward. It's very critical, isn't it? It's playing the game, but in a sense of the word. I'm still obliging to this new world. Having said that, I won't go to the extent of vaccinations on every single occasion. And Graham, my reasons are, and I've said this in previous shows, my reasons are for the reasons of health and well-being. I do feel well, and I, having heard of some of the situations people have experienced with the vaccine, and it is hit and miss, not with everyone, but nonetheless with people in general, it has been known that they have come with their own risks themselves. And I, for one, believe that if you're healthy and all things are going well for you, just have your common sense. If you do feel unwell, don't go around others. If you don't feel unwell, be around others. But if they say, well, look, I'm really into all this and I'm really, really worried about all this, can you please take a PCR test before you see me? Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. But that's just my own view on liberties. And
I'm sure that should be okay with the individuals in mind.
Yeah, but this is where I am concerned, because this is my view, but I feel like I'm a criminal for this view.
You shouldn't need
and
to feel like that.
I shouldn't need to feel like that, but that's the way that I think people are. Not people in general as a grand scope of people, but I think the feeling is that if you're somebody who says what I've said, that you're somehow segregated from the acceptable society, if that makes sense. You're not. Some people say anti-vaccine, but you can't call somebody who's had 2 injections an anti-vaxxer. So
No.
It's not quite that. There are reasons. If I hadn't have had the previous injections, then maybe I would have taken the anti-vax on the chin. But I'm not anti-vaccination. I'm of belief that if the government says, in this occasion they've said Omicron is mild, I don't need to be vaccinated. But if, of course, they turn around and said this particular strain, God forbid another one will come again, but we know that it's going to stick around with us. If another vaccine, another variant, came out.
But this booster is it's meant to slow down that from happening, isn't it? Because the more people that get the booster, the less chance the virus has got to spread and therefore mutate. What matters is the borders.
Yes, it does.
as
Yeah.
we mentioned earlier.
But it seems pretty pointless if, of course, the country is vaccinating, and yet we're getting 500 odd people per day coming into the channel and joining the UK population. That makes no absolute sense whatsoever. In fact, that does undoes all of the hard work, in my honest opinion. Unless, of course, we understood that those of which that were coming in are actually being PCR tested or vaccinated on the way in. Presumably they've already had their vaccinations, or otherwise maybe not at that point. But I see your point, Graham. I think you're absolutely onto something there. I think it does sort of undo all of the hard work, doesn't it? But what we've got to say, of course, Graham, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine.
It is, Graham, I think what we also understand is that regardless of how many times we are vaccinated, we'll never get rid of this. They do think that actually COVID will be around with us for years and years and years and years. And actually, even with that, you take the likes of the cold and flu, you can be vaccinated every year to minimise the risk of death, sadly, of the potential effects.
Of it morphing
into something else.
Pneumonia,
Absolutely.
for example.
But naturally, every year we'll get a cold and flu, which is why we have flu injections every year.
And eventually, the COVID will be put into that class.
I think so.
But we're talking maybe a decade.
And I think
It's going to take some time.
But I think a lot of people are. Yes, I think you're right. I think when you say what you say, I'm thinking that opinion you just had, Graham, in my mind would be maybe somebody from the government's point of view, or say maybe even the scientists, certain scientists. But I think some of us in the world actually do think that we're already there.
I'm certainly no scientist.
No, and neither am I. And I think it only really comes down to personal opinion. But only recently I watched on it was a social media actually. I saw somebody talking. It was actually somebody I think who created one of the vaccines. He was saying, of course, is what was he saying now, Graham? He was saying that you take the vaccine and that we know it's going to be around every year. So we've got to, he's saying that, that the risks with the vaccine as well, potentially some of which are even contracting COVID through having the vaccine, because there are some.
Well, you are given the
proteins.
Yeah.
But also, Graham, is now what is it? It was also understood that he said if you are feeling. Who was it who said this now? I can't remember the name of the chap, and I wish I could bring it up, but it's out on the internet. But one chap said that actually, if you're suffering from a runny nose, a sore throat, your typical cold symptoms, the likelihood is you've probably got COVID. So actually, what we are understanding as time goes on is that it is very much like the colds and flus that we know,
which is what it's been said
from day one.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I think really it's a strain of the cold and flu. Maybe you could say
it's new.
It's new.
Yeah, so,
it's just more aggressive than the cold and flu.
Yeah.
Fair to say. But I think if you were somebody of the age of 50 and above, then I think even if I was 50, I might consider having a vaccine each year.
It depends on your health.
I think it really
well.
does. Absolutely,
Because
Graham.
you might be 50, you might be 60, and with extremely good health.
But you know where the buck stops with me? Is when they say you're not vaccinated, you're putting others at risk. That, for me, I think is wrong. Because I think you're vaccinating to
Well, you
protect...
are vaccinated.
I am, but I'm it's a generalised thing. I'm thinking, if you're vaccinated, you're protecting yourself. You're not doing it because you're protecting Mr. Blogs down the road. Although that's how they want you to see it, because I think this is the way they're marketing it. It's almost like you have to get vaccinated. No.
And also, you're not mentioning your profession, but you're not working in that field at the moment. So you're not actually coming into the possibility of contact.
No. True.
With a different strain.
True. So I think the reality is, regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, if you get vaccinated because you believe it's necessary for you but your lifestyle, depending on your current health conditions or otherwise. And don't get too mixed up with this idea that somehow you've got to be vaccinated because your mate is. Your mate might have a very different reason for vaccination than you.
Yeah, yes, I have. My wife's health basically warrants me to have it done.
Yes, and as you can see, me and Graham got on very well. We have slightly different views on COVID, very similar, but we have different reasons for our reasonings. But I think generally we understand what's going on, don't we?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say that just because we have a disagreement on something that we're not going to talk to one another, because actually that's not us, is it? And that's what we should actually all be doing, is saying, well, look, we might not have the same views, but, don't shoot me, shoot the messenger. And the messenger, unfortunately, is quite muddy because there's too many messengers in the world of the global COVID pandemic, and we need to just understand a message, not mixed messages.
Bear in mind, the majority are getting their knowledge from the monopoly, aren't they? So,
yeah,
which is like your BBC, your ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky.
Yeah.
Even the BBC World News. That they're singing all near enough from the same hymn sheet.
Yes. Well, what we know is that COVID Omicron has risen from cases of 11,304 to 34,473 cases.
And there are at present, as of yesterday evening, 10
deaths.
10 deaths.
And that was with COVID or of COVID?
With the new strain.
With the new strain. Because this is also something that certain people are asking questions of.
But that's 10 into 34,000 is pretty good number. It's sad that it is 10 lives.
Yeah.
But it's still a very good number. So we need not to be panicked over this, but we do need to make sure that we keep our hygiene at a good level.
Yeah. And
just be careful. Wear the face mask. It gives you that some protection.
Yeah.
It could be just that amount of protection that you need to safeguard somebody else.
You're not wrong, Grem.
And yourself.
And also, it's like, isn't it? You go to a swimming pool, you wear swimming trunks. What's the difference?
Well, I wouldn't go wearing nothing.
No.
Well, that'd be
unless you don't want to go back there.
Whoops! I don't think I'll be allowed back in.
I don't think you will.
Actually, they might let me back in for laughter. And that's probably about it.
Yes, probably. So, what else do we know? It's nearly Christmas, Grem. You can even get dog calendars now.
Oh yes,
dog treats. That's fantastic, isn't it?
I've got one for my Susie the Locket, and she has a little treat wrapped up in some.
Does she know what box to sniff?
No, my youngest filled the calendar up, but forgot to wrap the treats in foil or cling film. So poor Susie was going like the clappers. She was just going crazy trying to sniff out this. Oh, it was a nightmare until I actually realised that all I need to do is just wrap it in some foil, which I'd done. So that was a whole calendar I had to like wrap and wrap and wrap.
Good.
But she enjoys it. She enjoys the treat, and she waits for it in the morning. She comes down and she looks up at the door. Honestly, she does.
Yeah.
She's a very clever dog. I do call her half a brain cell sometimes, but she's very clever.
Dogs are very intelligent, aren't they? Doesn't matter how big or small their head is. Grem, we talked about Germany, didn't we? About this whole thing of restrictions.
Yes.
Sorry to go back to that, guys, but I've just got some information coming in. Is that, and it's live, this show right now, so of course it makes sense as you watch it now, and between now and 11 o'clock. Because between now and 11 o'clock, there won't be any information about Germany. But at 11 o'clock, the government are talking about the restrictions between the UK and Germany. All right? So please do. You won't necessarily get the information from us, but you will get it from the main news sources. So yeah, sorry, what were we saying?
And as long as it's coming from a government source verbally and not the news reporter, then we know that it's said.
Chris Whitty.
Oh, so it's.
So what do you think?
Factual.
What do you think of Chris Whitty?
Should be factual.
Do you think he knows his stuff, Chris Whitty?
Yes. Yeah.
You do.
He's a good guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Oh no, not really. Only from TV.
Is he? He's a Conservative minister, isn't he?
No.
He's a scientist, isn't he?
Yes,
of course he is.
scientist.
Of course he is. I was just going to say, I don't remember Chris Whitty being involved in the cabinet. Right, well that would make sense.
He's become some form of a sex symbol, isn't he? Can you remember?
No.
Yes, when COVID first came about, and with the lockdown in March of 2019, wasn't it?
Right.
It seems ages ago now, doesn't it? It was 2019.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they name it different as of the years? You know, like you get, like I said before in previous shows, Graham, you know, like weather. Every time we get a storm, we have to name it something, don't we?
Yes.
It's a very Americanized thing, I think, but we've sort of hooked onto it, have we? Or we just adopt it. So why don't we do that with COVID? We had COVID-19. Well, it's not 19 anymore. That was 2019. Why have we not got COVID-21?
No, they've gone with the storm, haven't they? They're basically given the name. Omicron? What's it called?
Where did that come from? The storm. What is that? Where did that name come from?
No idea.
No, I don't either. Just make it up as you go along. What's the next one going to be? Should we have a wager on it? We know we're going to get another one, don't we? We know.
Why that name though?
No.
It's strange.
It sounds like some 1980s computer, doesn't it? Omicron. It's like Amiga. Omicron.
1984.
Omicron 2.4.
Commodore 16+4. That's the computer that I had growing up.
Omicron.
And I had the book to it was really, really thick, and you could actually design your own like computer games, and you just like typing away. It's pretty good, and it saves it somehow on this cassette. It records onto a cassette. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Wish I kept that computer now.
We have some breaking news, guys. We understand that Liz Truss of the Conservative Party is to be the next negotiator in the Northern Irish Protocol.
And we wish her luck.
And I'm sure she will do fine. I quite like Liz Truss. I've always had a thing for Liz Truss.
Well, she's pretty stable character, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been in the cabinet a while, hasn't she? She's been involved in politics for a long time. So I think, yeah, she's kind of, without being senior in herself, but senior is in the way of her political involvement.
Maybe I should have said she's pretty stable and pretty. Don't you think?
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully she does a good job with the Irish border protocol. I think, to be honest, I find all that a bit strange. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, you know, you hear people say, oh, you know, Brexit, and then they say, oh, you know, they forgot about that part of the Brexit subject. Well, did we? I think we've made more of it than we need to. I don't think there was actually an issue there at all, to be honest. I just think it was just something that somebody's been able to latch on to, and they've now made this a big talking point because that's all that certain individuals have got to talk about now.
Well, yet again, it's something that
was never
that should have been forward thought of when we entered the European Union all those years ago.
Yeah.
But it was.
I mean, it's not
seen.
I don't understand what all the hoo-ha is about, to be honest. You give Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland citizenship between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just keep the border open to those individuals who live on the island. I'm sure none of those will disagree on the island. So where's the problem? However, that does not mean to say we can let all and sundry in through the Southern and Northern Irish border. All right, that's all you got to do. Northern and Ireland. If you're a citizen of Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, you can go through that. You can walk across that line as freely as you like, and even into the UK. Right? But if you're from Europe and you want to get in through the back door, you get to that border and you can't, unless you've got legitimate reasons. And then the Irish will then stop. It's not a hard border. What that is a border. It's what has to happen.
It's a border of sense.
It's only a border, and I'll tell you why it's only a border. It's only a border because the Irish, Southern Irish, want to remain or are a member of the European Union, right? And Northern Ireland aren't. So they brought that amongst themselves. It's not, you know, unless Northern Ireland want to break up, and they don't. So there's the only way to deal with this is to say Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland can move freely north and south, and anybody outside of Ireland has to show documents at a border point. Easy. Doesn't have to be a hard border. It just needs to be a border. I mean, this hard and soft border, that's a nonsense political term. You know, they're making more of it than they need to. Somebody from France who wants to get into the UK without the right paperwork,
They shouldn't be allowed.
They get stopped at the northern southern border, and they papers, please. Oh no, you have no reason to enter the UK under these conditions. Please turn the other way. Actually, I'm not sure how that works because it's a border, isn't it? So they have to get to Ireland first. So effectively,
No, they've got to leave Northern Ireland.
No, they've got to leave Northern Ireland. Yeah, they've got to leave Northern Ireland. Yeah.
So it'd be at the other
But Grem,
side.
what is their argument? I mean, I just want to understand what is the argument around it. They're making out that Brexit's not been thought through properly. Well, actually, it's easy. Why has there always been this big hoo-ha and big misunderstanding about the Irish border? I've never understood that. It's such a political
It's a very
nonsense.
complex. It sounds complex.
I don't think it's complex.
No, but it shouldn't be.
It's not, is it? I mean, I've never understood why we've made it such a big talking point. I don't even
I don't
understand.
think necessarily
It's common sense.
yeah.
It's really common sense. All that Liz Truss needs to do is turn around to the Northern Irish and the Southern Irish and say, right, guys, look, this is the obvious fact. The obvious facts are you're with us because you're part of the United Kingdom, the Union, and you guys down there on the south, you're part of the European Union. So there has to be a border. That's it. Final. Right, we've got through that stage. Next part. You guys don't want to be cut between the two of yourselves, right? You want Southern Ireland, Northern Ireland to be free moving, right? You understand that you both want that. Fine, have that. No problem.
And we as a country will allow Southern Islanders, if they wish to, enter the UK. That's fine, but you will not be able to leave the UK to go to Europe
unless you have, which would be
necessary paperwork.
Which would be correct anyway, because any country outside of the European Union entering the European Union would have to have paperwork, right?
Exactly.
So technically speaking, so what is it the Southern Irish or Northern Irish? Where was their problem here, guys? Where was the problem? Anybody who's Irish, please pop it in the comment box and bring the subject this way, because I would like to know how this has become such a very difficult subject. Because for me, if I'm honest with you, if I thought that this was going to be a subject during the Brexit talks, and when we're all out there like you and I on the streets campaigning for Brexit, if we'd have known this was ever going to be a subject, we could have ironed it in the bud a long time ago. So I don't understand why now we've had Brexit, it's been delivered to a degree. Well, it has, obviously, but now we're still talking about the Irish protocol. Just bizarre. It's just like those individuals that are against Brexit. They're just hanging on to any little thread, isn't it?
Oh, I know.
Just let it go. Let it go. Anyway, please do, if you have an idea as to why, and please educate me, because maybe I do need educating. Maybe I'm very naive on the subject, and I'm completely accepting that point. If there's something that I'm missing, please do pop it in the comment box, because I would like to know how I'm not understanding this. Because I think I've pretty much got it.
It shouldn't be complex.
It's not. I don't think it is, but it is. It's kind of like, your mum calling you from upstairs. Hello, darling. What would you like for dinner? And you've got wall sausages and bangers and mash. What one do you want? It's not hard, is it? Well, it might be, but make a decision. I mean, why has it taken them 2 years plus to make a decision? It's more than that now. When was it? 2009 referendum was 26th of
eventually the
23rd of
European Union are going to have no choice but to back down. I think they're just playing the game for now to please the political stance that wish to keep the discussion going on.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so we've really covered a few topics tonight, Graham, haven't we?
We have. We've done okay.
We've done what? We've done COVID. We've done the Irish border. How do we get onto that? We've done lead.
Oh yeah, lead in formerly in pencils. Lead in petrol.
What else have we done? Lead.
My mind is not on this.
No, mine ain't either.
Crikey.
We've pretty much.
We've had to. I need to put my hands up. We've had quite a tiring day today.
It's been a long day, innit?
Yeah, we put down some recordings, and so I apologise for.
We've talked one hind leg off the donkey
this evening.
Yeah, no, he's doing all right. I'm doing okay. I think we've covered a few things. So what we do know is we've got a discussion at 11 o'clock to do with the UK-German restrictions. We've talked about COVID. We've talked about everything really. Omicron is still COVID, isn't it? Let me get that clear.
Yes,
right,
it
so
is.
It's just a variant, isn't it? So when we say variant, we're talking another side of COVID.
A COVID-19 variant.
Yeah.
2021.
Do you know what though, Graham? I do think
it's a mouthful.
It is really. Well, you forgot the SARS-2 bit as well.
Oh yes.
There's so many different. What was SARS-2? Was that a variant? I'm trying to remember now. Going back to the beginning, we had COVID-19. That was it.
Obviously, it must be a variant.
Then it was SARS-2, or was that just what others called COVID? It was like a.
No, they decided to call it SARS-2.
Right.
Yes. So this should be COVID 6 or 7. How many variants have we got? No, how many variants is there? Are there? Sorry.
I don't think there's many yet, but give it a year. Give it a couple of years. Do we really have to do this? Do we really have to name every variant? Can you imagine? Right, can you imagine this, Gwen? Can you imagine? I'd love to do this one
I
day.
think it's easier to understand if it's got a name.
Can you imagine if no TV existed?
Well, yes.
Right now,
most of the last 24 hours, we've had no TV at home because our TV decided to stop connecting to the internet.
So do you feel safer?
It's been a joy not to be fed with a load of...
Because maybe that's where maybe that's why I'm so not cavalier, because I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I do accept there is a virus, pretty mean, ugly virus going about. I get all that, but I'm very chilled, and I think the reason for that is because I don't get drawn in too much, and I don't want to be critical of others that may be a little bit more, that they've got nothing else to do, and you know, their joy is literally the TV, and they don't have other things to associate with, so therefore they get all their news from it, and that's it. You know, again, there's no wrong in that, but I think where I'm sort of quite laid back, I hear this stuff, and I think I'm seeing different when I look out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one can ever see a virus because obviously it's not there to see. Yeah, I get that, but when I don't know, there seems
you
to be...
can't be alert, but you can be alert not with your senses, but with the understanding and keeping your hygiene.
Yeah.
To a respected level.
Yeah.
Just being safe.
I think to be honest with you, there's a level of hysteria that's, I think, lowered now. I think when it first came about, I think everybody was, and even I, and I've said this on many occasions, even I was quite worried about the whole thing.
Part of the reason maybe why they gave names to these different variants were to keep the COVID phrase still dominant, still out there, still...
Yeah.
You know, to keep us alert. Maybe
you're right. But the thing is, if you don't, it seems pretty normal. The world seems a bit normal. If you turn your TV off, try this, guys. Just see how you go. You know, turn your TV off for a whole week. It's hard, I know, but do it for a whole week, right? Do your normal thing, right? Do your daily life, and then after that, see how good you feel.
Because on a Sunday, go to World News or something, and then you get it. Well, it has been spoken about over the week.
And over the week, absolutely, Grem. And then you'll see all the death and all the down and the sad and the awful stuff. And you'll go, did that really happen? I had a fantastic week. Nobody I knew died. Or you'll go, nobody I knew and who they knew and even the person that they knew, otherwise that person at all died. You know what I mean? This is what I think we need to do. I think we should all have a TV break. So the BBC and the ITV and the BBC 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, they all talk to themselves and nobody else. A bit like the Ben&Grem Show, when nobody watches, right? That's what they should do, Grem.
We do get some viewers.
Yeah, but then you think it's right, though. They should all just play to themselves for a week.
In fact, the last few shows, with the exception of this one, because I think I could have done better, have been really, really superb. So... We had a discussion earlier, didn't we, about putting putting a load together.
Yeah. We should a compilation.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it? Is that how it is? Compilation
or a trilogy or whatever.
Trilogy. Sounds like Aliens versus Predator, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, trilogy.
But no, but do you know what I mean, though? Should we do that?
Yes.
Why don't we all do that, guys? Anybody that's watching, let's have a little survey. Let's have a test on the subject of all things negative.
Or if you can't manage a whole week without watching the news,
just a couple of days is good.
Yeah,
honestly,
48 hours.
Just see how you feel. I bet you there'd be. Do you know what? If the world stopped watching TV for 1 week, there would be less antidepressant victims.
I can totally, honestly believe that.
You won't be watching a TV. You'd be going out for a walk with your dog, for one, or you might even just go out for a walk with your neighbour, for two, if you like her,
or him,
or them.
Yes. Aww. Them. Can't forget about them.
No. Insulate Britain. Are they still doing anything? Are they finished now? Are they giving up the ghost?
Do you know who are they?
We're giving them airtime. Fortunately, actually, because nobody watches the Ben&Grem Show, we're giving them airtime, but nobody's watching. So technically, we're not. So we're talking about them. Nobody cares.
People are watching.
Well,
nope. Yeah, I know. But what I mean is, Grem, is it makes you feel like, it makes you think that if the thought that nobody is watching, you can say what you like. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you mean that we haven't got a live studio audience?
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Plans ahead.
Anyway, what are you talking about? Have you not watched some of the edited versions of the Ben&Grem Show?
Yes, they've been hilarious.
Yeah, you've had some chats and some claps and some whatevers. It's been, audience. Virtual audience.
You see?
That's all you need, isn't it?
We get people viewing us.
But they do that anyway.
Watching us.
Have you noticed, like, if you watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Not
Yeah.
just The Fresh Prince, but there's many other sitcoms. Is that a sitcom?
Yeah.
Comedy show. And you get these clapping in the background. They're not really there. They just implemented that in.
But it
gives the atmosphere.
Yeah,
That's what it's about, isn't it? So no
So
matter
we
how
expect some more of that.
exactly, no matter how famous you are, Fresh Prince, we got your number. We know how it works. We had a load of them clapping, didn't we?
We did.
Especially when you mentioned a few things on the last edit. That was good, wasn't it? Free speech, guys. What do you think about free speech? Do you think it exists? Do you think it's gone? Do you think we are running out of time? I don't know how long this is going to be. Running out of time for what? Free speech. Do you think we're going to ever get free speech back?
What, by the end of the show?
Nope.
I think we need longer than that. Do you think?
I think we need to bring this topic up on as a key point
I
on
wonder
our next show.
We do, but do you know what? I'm actually looking forward to 2022 because have you noticed, Graham? Life is changing so significantly. We had Brexit, and all it was dominating, wasn't it? Dominating the news, good and bad and ugly.
A lot of scaremongering.
Yes, indeed. A lot of positive, a lot of negatives. Everybody got to a stage, even people like me that was all for Brexit, got to a point where we were like, come on, we need something else to talk about. And then we finally got rid of, I've said this before on the show.
We had what did we have? A couple of months.
We had a couple of months, and all of a sudden they had this thing called COVID come out. And that's all we've spoken about for how many years? That is dominating Brexit now. I never thought I'd ever say this, and I never thought I'd ever see in my lifetime another subject so controversial.
You don't hear of anything else negative happening.
No.
It's like cold and flu seems to have done one, and it's just COVID and other situations you don't seem to hear about them.
No, it's a sad reality, really, isn't it, that we've come to this stage in life where everything has just become non-existent to COVID. It's a shame, isn't it? But no, it's not so much that. It's more the fact that what I find striking is that even if colds and flus have disappeared, it's the fact that we've all gone and changed our way of life to such an extent.
But it makes you wonder if some of these COVID cases are actually cold and flu cases, which are morphed into pneumonia, and it's. I mean, I know they've had some have had necessary tests, but how are we to believe the full extent of the results?
Do you think, Graham, it's a way of the world clawing back money? And when I say that, I mean because if you think of the way
not the world, a certain area.
Oh, maybe a certain area, but I'm thinking the world because it's a national and the international subject, isn't it? Really, COVID. And if you think about it, right, what we're seeing is industries, our way of lives changing so rapidly from day to day.
Well, it could be. You could be right there because
I'm not saying
country has got a finger in a pie in another country.
Of course.
So when they make money, certain companies, some of that money is going to get back. Yeah. So you are right.
Cutting short avenues in which maybe one would normally have to take, to then changing things in the way of which they behave. So we have to act differently. So therefore, in a way, you could say that system that they've now adopted is potentially saving them money. Like, for example, when you get things like stay away from the NHS to save lives, if nobody's using the NHS, presumably dying from home, God forbid, but if nobody's using the NHS, then technically speaking, they're not doing a service, which in some cases you could say are saving money. So there's us thinking we're doing them good, but they're not them doing what they're there intended to do because technically they're not seeing anybody. So it's a bit of a turn it on its head subject. But somebody is making money from somewhere, not just somebody as an individual, but organisations, institutions. So the UK is making money. They're clawing back money. The country's absolutely poor, right? So they're clawing back money through ways of saving face. Not saving face, but saving a lengthy process. You know, you can't see the GP today. He doesn't even need to go in. He can take a phone call. So in fact,
could be the case.
So he's saving money on his fuel. He's saving money on
some
his time,
cases. That could be
his lunch. He hasn't even got to go and buy lunch from his local newsagents now because he can just take it over the phone and then he can make himself a sandwich if he wishes. You know, he's saved. He's cut his carbon footprint as an individual. We might criticise as individuals because we're saying we feel we're not getting that face-to-face service, but then in the long run, we're probably saving the planet. So,
yes.
So actually, why then, Graham, are Insulate Britain so upset with the government? Surely they should be loving the government right now.
That's the question.
Let us know what you think. Subject box. In the comment box below. Please, yes.
It's been a lovely evening.
It has been a lovely evening. It's been a wonderful evening, and you've been listening to the Ben and Grem Show. This is a live show, Sunday evening, 19th of December, 2021. Probably could be our potential last one before Christmas. So if you are watching, I'm pleased to say you've...
We may give you a cheeky live.
Maybe. We will.
Yes, may.
Maybe. Or maybe not. We shall see. Who knows? Stay tuned.
20th tomorrow.
Yeah. Have you all got your Christmas shopping sorted? Have you sorted yours yet?
I've got them still to get.
Oh yeah.
Hesitated there because it always happens. I don't normally finish off Christmas shopping until around about the 21st to the 23rd. So that's always the case. It's a difficult year for me personally this year.
Yes, it's been a very tough year, all things considered.
Yes.
And I just hope that next year, 2022. Do you know, it's funny, and we all say this, Graham, don't we? Every single time we come towards the end of a year, we always say, oh, it was a really bad year. Oh, let's look forward to the next year. But the next year always tends to be worse than the year before, because there's always something that happens.
It's because we're waiting for something negative to happen,
Yeah.
because all we're getting and all we're watching on the TV is negativity.
Yes.
This is why you should give yourself a bit of a break from the news.
Take a drink from your wine glass.
Exactly.
And sit back and play bar billiards or something.
Or old episodes of
Friends.
Benidorm, or Friends, or even El Dorado.
Or Monty Python.
Yes.
Yeah, I like your thinking there, Graham. I think people
Carry
do.
On films.
Carry On films. Yeah, they're going back a bit, aren't they? We do need to do that. We do need it. I think we all need a break. It's like when they say we need to take a break from our phones because we need to socialise. Well, that's exactly what the news is. The TV is hampering our way of forward thinking and living lifestyles. So what it does is it brings people into this one trap-minded opinion and view and understanding of life. And then, so you've got these circle of people that are just, many millions, by the way, just there. And you've got those that are outside of that going, this life's brilliant, we're making the best of it. And then all these people on the inner side are saying, you guys are crazy. No, actually, we're living our lives. Anyway, no, actually, there was something else. I just come to the point I've forgotten what it was. Graham, what was it? You ain't got a clue because I ain't told him.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show.
We are, but no, there was something else I was going to say. But it's gone. So we'll save it for next time. Aww. Whatever that will be.
Yeah, we'll save it for next time.
Yes. So, Graham, I think that's pretty much it, is it? We are ready to say goodbye, good night, sayonara, senorita, and senorita. That's Spanish, isn't it?
Senorita.
Senorita.
Yes, Spanish.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Always
It has
is.
been a pleasure, and thank you for joining us this evening. It's been a delight. Thank you, Ben, for co-hosting as well.
Yeah, wonderful co-host and co-host number 2. And host and host.
Host and host.
They're both the same, aren't they?
Host and host. Could say that all evening.
Yeah, you could, but we're not going to because people will switch off. Badminton. Do you like badminton? Actually?
I used to be really good at badminton.
So did I.
At school.
Do you fancy a game after the show?
Oh no. Where?
Anywhere.
No.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. We can't anyway because of COVID. Do you have to wear a mask when you play
No,
badminton?
you could go and you could use the tennis courts at Connaught Park.
Yes, you can. They've got no floodlights though. Yes. If we both take our cars up there, we can use our headlights. Just keep.
Yes. There you go. Just driving the grass. Who will know? We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that because we need permission from a landowner. Who owns Connaught Park?
District Council.
Of course they do. That was a silly question.
So on that note, we're going to say goodbye and thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Never a chore. Yeah, that's about it, isn't it? From him, from Graham.
And from him.
From Ben. That's it. Good night.
Good night. God bless. Make someone's day special.
It's nearly evening though, isn't it? What's the time?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
They know what I mean.
Yeah.
They know. They understand fully. They know my madness.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
I need to end the scene, don't I?
Yeah.
I was thinking it's going to turn off in a minute, and it ain't. Right. See you later, guys.
Take care, guys.
Pointless news.
You